Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Taurus in April 2020. Hello, Taurus. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. All right, guys, you have the High Priestess pop over here before I actually started. So some of you are getting into your intuitive spaces. Some of you might be having amazingly clear intuitive hits at this time in your life. So just be open to that stuff. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, go ahead and Google intuition, Google the High Priestess, and figure the situation out. But anyway, Taurus, let's get into the regular state of affairs. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. At this time, guys, I want to wish you early Tauruses, those born at the end of April, a happy birthday. Also, happy birthday to those who are born in May, because, you know, you're all Tauruses, whether you're born in April or May. If you're able to celebrate with friends and family, I hope you're going to have an amazing time. I know at this moment, this is March 31st that I'm recording this on. And where I am, a lot of things are going to be locked down for the foreseeable due to the COVID-19 coronavirus situation that we have going on in our globe. Just across so many nations, you know, things are hopefully getting better before they get worse, but in some, you know, reports they're saying it's pretty damn bad, and, you know, some judgment calls are going to have to be made. If you're affected by any of that, I hope, you know, I hope it doesn't become anything that's, you know, too tragic, let's say it that way. But if you are going through something very trying right now, you do have my sympathy, you do have my empathy, because, you know, nobody ever expects this kind of thing. But when it does come up, you know, it's a real test for us to band together and be positive reinforcements towards one another, okay? So again, if you're able to celebrate and get together with friends and family on your birthday or at any time in the near future, please be safe as you do so. And, you know, if you're not, and if you're still quarantined, if you're having to still practice social distancing when it comes time to blow out the candles, hopefully it's not too much to bear. You know, I understand it's a sacrifice for those celebrating in April and March and maybe even May, hopefully not that far into the future, but, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? So anyway, let's because, you know, I'm not going to go into it, but I'm having some interesting feelings about what might come down the line as we move into the future. But I dare not speak it aloud because, you know, I don't want to give power to it. So let's just say that. Anyway, Taurus, moving right along. That is your main spread there. I have shuffled off camera. That is your main spread there. Repeating myself. I will shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is in the description box below if you want to jump ahead. You can also order a personal reading through with me through the information that's down in the description box. If you have a question before you place an order, go ahead and email me at the same address, and I will answer you as soon as possible. And as some of you may have noticed with the intro there, I am on Instagram now as EmpathicFire Tarot. I pull a daily oracle card over there, so if you want to join me, get in on that action, go ahead and give me a follow. I'll put a little graphic right about there so you can see it again, EmpathicFire Tarot. I'm doing, like I said, daily oracles over there. It's a little bit different than tarot. Still the same bag, though. I interpret it intuitively with what I'm feeling in the moment, and I do that just about every day. So if you want to join me over there, go ahead and drop me a follow, all right? All right, Taurus, let's go. Let me see the outcome for Taurus in April 2020. Outcome for Taurus in April 2020, please show me. Interesting. A little tight lip now. There it goes. All of these came out so easily. So the fact that the outcome didn't fly out was a little bit of a surprise. Anyway, it came like this, slightly in a sideways position. Let me see if I'm turning this in any type of way. No, no. Okay, just like that. Boom. All right, and let's go ahead and flip the came face down. That was coming up a lot in your pre-shuffle off camera. That was there in my face, so it was meant to come out, and there you go. All right, looks pretty good on the screen. I'll leave it be, even though I'm not in love with it. We'll just let it be. All right, guys, let's get into it. Please show me where Taurus is in April 2020. Where's Taurus in April 2020? Please show me. Okay, we got it. Taurus, that's a surprise, I guess. But maybe a little bit explained to me because I wasn't feeling that when I was shuffling. You come into April with the Two of Swords. There we go. Thank you for the good focusing, new camera. Thank you. Anyway, guys, indecision, inflexibility in some cases, lack of focus. That's interesting. Lack of focus. That makes sense though. Just kind of being generally blind to the situation at hand, or not wanting to see the reality that is in front of you right now. There is resistance, there is pullback, there is an energy of being held back or withheld. It feels like, you know, someone is embracing their ignorance and kind of reveling in their ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I mean the lack of knowing. Someone is glad they don't know something, or pretends they don't know something. If they literally know it or not, they pretend, or they go with not knowing. Does that make sense? So let me clear that up a little bit. Someone, could be you, could be someone else. This is a general, so the energy could be flipped. But there is someone who doesn't know the details or doesn't know all the facts and the figures, and they want it that way. They like it that way. They are fine without knowing those details. And other people know the details. They know the facts and the figures, but they pretend that they don't. Somehow this play on ignorance or running with that energy is less stressful. It's less of a headache. It's less, it decreases someone's obligation and their quote unquote need or expectation of them to show up in a certain way. So if they can plead no contest, or they can act like they didn't know what was going on, then they can't be held responsible. Does that make sense? Could be you, could be someone else, because again, it is a general. But for the most part, this Two of Swords is very like, I used to say that a lot. I think about this card when I first started this channel. It's like an ostrich energy. It's like burying your head in the sand, like those old Warner Brothers cartoons where, you know, ostriches would bury their head literally in the sand. I don't know if those animals really do that, but, and you know, the sentiment when we say bury your head in the sand is to will it away, to kind of again, pretend that something that is a part of reality isn't. I feel as though in some sense this is a protection, a move of protection, a move to save oneself from something, or to, you know, ease some type of distressing situation, or a situation that is disruptive to your life. Whoever it is, it could be you, could be someone else, but I think that this is a move that's done consciously in some cases, not all. Because the alternative is to face the facts, to face the truth. And the truth is a little bit hard to deal with right now, or it's painful, or it's upsetting, or it's frustrating, it's maddening. Interesting word, maddening. Yeah, the reality is just like too much right now. Thank you. Because we've got these two swords that are crossing in front of that moon. Hopefully you can see it. There you go. So you see that moon that's in the bottom half of the card, and how the tips of the swords are crossing in front of it. There's like a prevention or a reluctance to get to the emotional side of the matter, or a certain emotional tie that you have with another person, or whatever it is. And so there's this energy of not wanting to go into the depths of the situation, because the moon talks to deep emotions, those that live or reside in the subterranean or the subconscious of our lives, right? So what is at the heart of the matter, essentially? Someone doesn't want to go there, and they're not going to, whether they are conscious of choosing that path or not, or the details of the situation that they don't know kind of protects them. Something like that is going on. That's very interesting. So what else happens? Because I feel as much as like that is a cloudy energy, this Two of Swords is kind of, you know, mysterious, or it's aloof, it's detached, right? I feel very easily connected to the detachment. It's kind of ironic, I guess. Now, what else happens? Okay. So we have someone being detached. Yes, thank you. Wait, hold on. Okay. So we have a detachment. Maybe that's it. Okay. There's this feeling of not being a part of, being detached from, or being aloof, being mysterious or uninvolved, even though the call or the circumstance or the other people involved actually desire and request and expect attachment. And someone else is just like, no, I'm not attached to that. Okay. So, right. So this Hierophant, Major Arcana 4 Taurus, so here you are. This could be you, could be the other person, could be, whatever. I'm not really sure. Yours is going all over the place because some Tauruses are the Two of Swords and some people are dealing with someone who's the Two of Swords, or vice versa, right? So this Hierophant is that expectation of involvement, is that expectation of following the protocol, of showing up and being a conscious participant in a discussion, in a relationship, in a meeting, let's say. Listen, yours feels a little deeper thus far than what I've been doing recently in terms of tarot. But this could literally be, going on a conference call with a lot of us working from home, or, remote work, whatever you want to call it. And this could literally be the boss or the supervisor or whoever who's leading the call, and it's like, hey guys, if everybody could just mute their phones while we go over the schematics and we go over the plan for how to handle, this transition from work to home. Oh my God, with this focusing, what do I got to do? Like be the beauty blogger around here? There we go. Thank you. And this could be literally your boss going, everybody mute the mic, and somebody's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to mute my mic. And like, again, this desire, this expectation that people show up and be professional, and someone might not show up and be professional. I mean, we laugh at it, but it's like real life embarrassment when someone gets on a conference call or a video call and they're at home and they look all professional, from the waist up, and then they happen to like stand up to go somewhere and you see like they're sitting in their underwear. The Hierophant is not expecting you to get on a conference call with your colleagues and for you to be wearing a nice button-down shirt, but then you stand up and everybody can see your boxers, or you're like in a thong or something like that. There's this energy that comes from the Hierophant, whether it's you or someone else, that says, I have expectations, these are the rules, these are the regulations, and they need to be met, and people need to show up and be full-on participants. And I get the sense that this Hierophant knows or suspects that people are not participating as competently or fully as they should be. And if I'm honest, it feels a little bit judgy. It feels a little bit like, tisk, 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 wagging the finger. Now here, now listen, this is not the way it's supposed to be. What do you think you're doing? But I feel like that's kind of like wasted energy, because I get the sense of someone else's expectations or your expectations are not going to be met, because I mean, we're in a, okay, yeah. It's like, I'm not trying to go into this, and I'm not necessarily sure that that's going to show up in your reading, but it has come up in other readings that I've done where we're kind of in a new era, as it's not the most ideal vehicle, a pandemic, but this is definitely a time for many people on an individual level, on a group level, on a collective level, on a global level, to sit down and really think of what can we do, or not what can we do, but what are the ways in which we can rewrite the status quo, because the Hierophant is very much status quo. What are the rules and regulations? What has traditionally, historically worked, and how can we continue to carry on that tradition, to carry on that history, and to keep things status quo? I get the sense so far that Two of Swords is kind of like turned off from that energy, doesn't want to view it that way, or there's a complexity again. Yeah. There's a complexity because of that moon card, like I was explaining before, some emotional depth that's there that someone else doesn't want to explore, and the Hierophant doesn't want to explore it either. The Hierophant just wants what do you call it? Not submission. What do you call that? Obedience. Thank you. The Hierophant, as an archetype in tarot, expects and wants obedience. The Two of Swords, in its way, in its own way, in an avoidant way, is disobedient, right? So I avoid the rules that say you wear pants on a video conference call because I'm sitting in the middle of my living room, or I'm sitting in my downstairs den or whatever, and on the side of me is a beer, but I put it in a coffee mug so nobody would suspect that I'm drinking at 10 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, that is a total disregard of what is expected. Because if you were in the office, if you had to go to a meeting and sit around a conference table, you wouldn't be able to sit there without your pants. You wouldn't be able to sit there and drink a beer, right? So there's this disconnect. I said that with this Two of Swords. There's a disconnect between what is expected from before, traditionally, according to history, according to the patterns and the ways that we've behaved before, and what's coming out of it now. Could be, in some of your cases, you have apathy coming out, because the Two of Swords can be disassociated or disaffected, right? Can feel very not a part of the of the mainstream of this situation, a part of the party, so to speak. And it's like both are kind of stubborn in their own ways. You know, the Hierophant, again, attached to Taurus. Taurus does have that notoriety of being a stubborn sign. I'm a Leo. We're also labeled as stubborn, so don't take offense to me telling you that. But there is this stubbornness that comes from the Hierophant and that comes from the Two of Swords, and I don't see either side really seeing eye to eye or really wanting to take their load or their impact, their side of the story, so to speak. They don't want to take responsibility, you know. I could go on and on about the Hierophant, and there are many great attributes of the Hierophant, but the way this Hierophant is showing up is like, do as I say, not as I do kind of energy. Follow the rules and the expectations that I set out, whether it be a single person and a group of people, because the Hierophant can talk about entities, can talk about companies, can talk about the government, can talk about, you know, religious figures, as you can clearly see on this depiction of this card. You know, if your religion says in times of crisis, do X, Y, Z, and you don't do X, Y, Z, you're kind of not, you know, you're not following those rules, those expectations of those religious leaders. I'm not criticizing anybody, but that's, you know, possibility here. So this disconnect exists. What else happens with it? Well, somebody is like out of there. Yeah, someone is like out of there, and I think it's this Two of Swords person, and I think they might be doing it semi-quietly, but then they might turn up at certain points. But for the most part, it's a mostly quiet exit or disagreement or again, detachment that you have from this Hierophant energy. Again, I'm getting boss off of that, like hardcore. For some of you, it's a boss. In other cases, it is a family dynamic, or it is this traditional way of approaching a situation, of giving to a situation or behaving, and you're just doing it quietly. I'm doing it differently than what is expected of me, right? And yeah, thank you. So that quiet escape, that quiet tiptoe away, that, there we go, that way of making an exit but not wanting to make too much of a stink about it, or, yeah, Seven of Swords. Now, that's possible. If I'm honest, though, a lot of times the Seven of Swords comes with lies and manipulation, deceit. It comes with this energy of pulling a fast one. And some of you might be doing that. Oh, okay. In terms of those where this is like centered around your job and you're working from home, or you could be an essential worker, you know, working in the front lines, in the medical fields, in the service industries, in terms of like people who are working as truck drivers, delivering goods to stores throughout the nation or wherever you are, right? You could be one of those employees, and this has come up in the news for, over the past day or two, that you have these people working in hospitals, you have these people working in medical centers, you have these people who are working in grocery stores, and they're not properly protected. You know, PPE, personal protective equipment, right? I think that's what it's called. The N95 masks and all that stuff that's going on regarding the crisis that we're all in the middle of. These people are not properly protected. They're not properly compensated. And so some of you, as is your right to do, I'm not here to judge your move at all, but some of you are like quietly making an exit from your job, from your responsibilities, or what some people might say you're obligated to do. Now, I don't know about you, especially for like something like a grocery store. That's not, I worked retail for a good portion of my life, and those jobs are very similar. As much as when I sign on, and many of those jobs are at will employment, meaning you can be fired at any moment, which also gives you the right to quit at any moment. So if you're telling me that people are supposed to work 8, 9, 10-hour shifts working with the public and they don't have any type of protective gear in the middle of a pandemic, they have a right to quit if they want. No judgment from me, and I don't think you should really judge other people, but that could be something that some of you are considering, or something that you're, again, on the sneak, on the sly, trying to do. So I don't want to work, and this has come up in, I'm not glued to the news. I watch it once a day just to stay informed, because I don't think you should overdo it in any sense. But I did see a couple of news stories where nurses are quitting. And, I'm not in any position to judge. But if you care for yourself or your family, and you're not being protected, or you're not given the option to protect yourself, or you're simply don't have the means to do so, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do, right? But in a less specific sense, towards geared towards the crisis at hand, I get the sense that in general, you or someone around you is wanting to, quote unquote, break up with the decorum, with the expectations, with the the way it's been. The way it's been traditionally, the Hierophant says this is the way it's always been, and this is the way it should continue to be going forward. The Seven of Swords is like, deuces, I'm not into that. I'm not into that. On a more specific, or not a more specific, but on a more micro scale, this could be talking about a marriage or some type of commitment. Doesn't have to be marriage, but Hierophant is one of the cards that can talk about marriage. But more to the point, commitment. And the Seven of Swords says, you know what? This commitment, it's not for me. Now, I did use the word lies, manipulation, and deceit. This could be a cheating scenario because of the card it comes right above. And this might be, oh, I see. Okay. So here's what, going back to that scenario I painted about being on a video conference call, and from the neck up, or excuse me, not the neck up, the waist up, we can see someone wears a professional shirt or, blazer or whatever they're doing, like they would normally wear when they're at work. But for some reason they have to stand up, or for some reason the camera falls or whatever, and you can see their bottom half, and you see they're just wearing their underwear, or they're wearing sweats, or God forbid, I mean, they could be naked, right? There is this sense that there is a quick revelation about a cheating scenario. This is like for a handful of people. There is a quick revelation about a cheating scenario that you or someone else was not aware of before. And that is exacerbated, or is being revealed because of this quarantine. We never would have known that Joan didn't wear pants on the video conference if she didn't get up to go chase her 4-year-old out of the room because she was on a conference call. Hey, Joan, nice thong. We wouldn't have known that without her having to be at home with her children on a 2 a.m. excuse me, on a call on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. We wouldn't have known that, right? So there's something about being in quarantine, being held on a lockdown, being whatever. It is revealed, lies and deceit, Seven of Cups, or excuse me, Seven of Swords, right above the Three of Cups. It is revealed that somebody had a third-party situation going on as of late, or for a long time, because the Hierophant can talk about long-term situations, again, commitments. So I get the sense that some of you are learning, or something is being revealed about a third-party situation. Now, interestingly, is someone avoiding that revelation? Someone ignoring that information? Is someone avoiding those details? Or acting like they don't know that? Listen, oh, that's a big one. Some of you are trying to catch somebody in a lie. Some of you might be mounting a case. Like you might know, because I said that about the Two of Swords. Someone might know the details, but they pretend that they don't. Oh my God, that's very complicated. Because that's super dramatic. It's super entangled. It's super layered, and that's not for everybody. But that could be a story for a few people. There is a cheating scenario in a relationship, in a marriage, where one partner, the one who's being cheated on, pretends that they don't know in order to gather further information, in order to avoid possibly a blow up, in order to avoid, something. They do it, or to avoid themselves emotionally, because again, those two swords being crossed in front of the moon. I don't want to deal with this on an emotional level because me and my husband, me and my wife, and all of our kids are in the home for like the next month. There's no point in blowing up my relationship that I know is totally in the toilet in the middle of a pandemic. As soon as we're out of here, it's on. It's something like that. Wow, that's so specific. And if you know me, my friends, I didn't mention it, but I will mention it because we're going back here. I don't normally just jump on third-party situation. It has to come through strongly. And I felt that so strongly that, damn, somebody is finding out for the first time these details about a third-party situation, a cheating scenario, specifically cheating. Because third party does not always mean cheating. Third party can mean working too much, drinking too much. In this case, as you see with these three, jovial women, partying too much and spending your energy or splitting your energy in another direction. That is the very general way you should conceive of, well, I shouldn't say you should see, I conceive of a third party situation. Sometimes it does mean cheating. And that came through real strong for like a few of you. You know it now. You've known it for a while. You're finding out now. Others of you, you know it and you're telling people, I know. Others of you, you know it and you're keeping it silent. Very interesting. Let's see. What else is there besides third party? Because, happiness. Three of Cups is about celebrations. Three of Cups is about reunions or getting in touch with old friends and having a good time, catching up with each other. So I get the sense that possibly there is this, for lack of a better word, there's this boring aspect in your life, a relationship, a commitment you have to a project or a work commitment that you're just not happy with. You're just not fulfilled with. And you're looking to be happier, or someone is looking to be happier. And again, your energy, and that might have been the way it was for the mid-March readings. I can't remember, but I think yours was kind of 50-50, Taurus. I could be wrong about that. And I think that's kind of here too. Some of you Tauruses, you're the party that does the cheating. Others of you, you're the one that's being cheated on. Some of you are the one who's holding the conference call. You're expecting people to be professional, and 2 seconds later, you see one of your employees stand up and you see their underwear, something like that. Or you're the person whose underwear is now trending on Twitter because, nothing hides in this day and age. You can't hide anything away in the age of the internet, right? So it's going to go either way. But there is one side of this issue that is searching for their happiness, is sneaking away towards happiness, or has prioritized happiness, celebration, just good times, good people, connectivity over their obligations, their responsibilities. Yeah? Wow. Interesting. What else happens? Because we've only got 2 cards left in the main, so it's going to be one of them. Let's see where they take me. And I don't know why my throat is so sore. I didn't have tea, that's why. I'm like, why is my throat so dry today? Excuse me. So what happens next for Taurus? Please show me. All right, so somebody, okay. Yeah, okay, so directly, for those who are dealing with a third-party situation, the motivation for many in that scenario is sex, okay? Ace of Wands, more so in other tarot decks, is seen as a phallic symbol. It can represent sexual veracity and desire and act, the act of sex. And that's here too. I get the sense that the substance of the third party situation is not that deep. If I'm honest, it's not that deep. And if it is, the connection is not conscious to the participants. What do I mean? So if there is a deeper reason of why this person has stepped out on the marriage or on the relationship, or why you did, you're not conscious of it. You just were looking for a good time. Three of Cups. Looking for a good time, bring in the phallus, here's the good time. And, not all sex requires a phallic entity or body part or anything like that. Entity, object, there we go, object or body part. You can have sex without it. But whatever your situation is, right? Someone was desiring sensuality, sexual gratification, and they got it. Do they possibly, or did they possibly want something deeper? Maybe, but they don't know it. They're not awakened to that. They're, for lack of a better word, they're trying to fill a hole, but they don't know where that hole is. Okay? Because I see the Seven of Swords, I see this Two of Swords, and a little bit of the Three of Cups. All of this together is escapism. And the way to escape for a lot of people is just physical gratification. Not understanding that there's a deeper issue at hand. What that deeper issue is, I don't know. It's going to be different for all the individuals involved. But for those where this is about, outside affairs and people on the side and chronic cheating or first time cheating, whatever it is, it was the motivation mostly was physical. The majority of the reasoning is, I wanted to get my rocks off. And that might seem cold and callous, or that might seem, again, like if you've been married a long time, we've been married for 28 years. How could you do this? Why would you do this? Why would you do this to the family? Why would you do this to me? How could you blah, 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 blah. It seems so frivolous. And to an extent it is. But I already know there's something deeper, but people are not conscious of that. You're not conscious of it. They're not conscious of it. Whoever. People are not aware that there was something more than just sex about it. The only conscious understanding was, I was physically tempted, I was sexually tempted, and I went out and fulfilled or gave into the temptation, right? That's the only conscious understanding of what has transpired. It had to be just sex, or it had to be because they are more attractive than me, or how could, or some of you are like, some of you who are the one who was cheated on, you're like looking at the person that your husband or your wife or whoever stepped out with, and you're like, they're not even good looking. They're not even attractive. What is the deal? Like, it's more than that. It's like someone just perceives it as just sex or just a physical thing, but it's more than that. And I'm not saying it's more than that to indicate, oh, it's about true love or so much. No, it's something deeper. This is just a symptom. The act of cheating was just a symptom of a deeper disease, so to speak. Okay? Now, away from the cheating scenario, what happens, or why is this Ace of Wands here? This Ace of Wands speaks to that newness, that step away from tradition that was represented, or that is represented by the Hierophant card, stepping away from tradition into something brand new, into something that's kind of rebellious or kind of off cuff or kind of unpredictable, never seen before, never conceived of before. We've never done, I've never felt this way, or I've never thought this way about things. Because again, this Hierophant can talk about family values, can talk about family structures, can talk about leadership in a community or leadership in a company. And there is possibly a temptation for those where this is more based around your career life. There could have been a temptation to go work for another company or work in a different field, right? I don't think it's going to get to this point, but just as an example, just to illustrate how something can be a temptation. Because again, 7 of Swords, 2 of Swords, and 3 of Cups all together. Temptation lies deceit. Temptation lies deceit, right? So we have this thing, again, I'm referring to the news, which again, the Hierophant is maybe why I'm talking about the news, because media is a big entity that can be represented by the Hierophant, but whatever. So I was watching the news, I think it was yesterday, and they're talking about how fulfillment jobs are on the rise. You know, for companies like Amazon, they're willing to pay you more, there's overtime, you can get one of those jobs like that, right? And then you also have today, some news outlets are saying people at certain fulfillment centers, especially in New York, I think on Staten Island or something like that, where Amazon workers in the fulfillment centers are thinking of going on strike. Now, that to me was an immediate allegory to how people, oh God, I forget what era it was, but basically when there was issues with the miners back in like the early 20th century or whatever it was, where you have these people working the mines and they do this job and, you know, their health is being impacted. And so they go to management, we desire a union, we need more pay, we need better health care. And the bosses are just like, so if you don't get back to work, we're going to give your jobs to somebody else, right? I don't think that Amazon is saying that, ... yet. Maybe they will, I don't know. But that's kind of what I feel here in terms of job. There's a job or a sector that you want to move into that is a temptation. Other people have jobs in that sector. Again, possibly like with this fulfillment center, or even working at a place like Walmart or any grocery store that's local to you. They need more people to stock the shelves. They need more people to work the checkout lines. They need more people to do, you know, cleanup and do whatever, right? They're being pushed to capacity. So if you wanted to, or if you needed to, if your back is up against the wall and you don't have any money coming in, you might need to go take one of those jobs. Are you taking a job from somebody else who's just like, well, we deserve better pay, or we deserve a union, or we deserve better care and protection at this time of crisis, and then you come up, or someone else comes up right behind and says, I'll do it. Okay? That's how you get that. Someone who doesn't want to see that what they're doing is possibly adverse to another person. I don't know that you want to have a good time. I don't know that you'd be having a good time working in those, you know, possibly unsafe conditions or what have you, but that's just the way that we could like view that in terms of the, in terms of the career path. Regardless, this Ace of Wands is the opportunity to grasp at something new and maybe I shouldn't use this word, but not commit to it, because it's not commitment in the sense of what we were talking about with the Hierophant, but commit to it as in to be excited by it, as in to be thrilled by it, as in to want to do it. I'm committed because I want to do it. We don't do anything we don't want to do when it comes to the Ace of Wands. It is actually, the driver behind it is desire. I desire to do this. I desire to go there. I desire to be with this person. I desire. That's all in the Ace of Wands. So someone in some respects, or to certain extents, is being selfish. And the motivator on the surface is, I desire that. More money, a different job, a new girlfriend, a new boyfriend, you know, freaky sex, whatever the desire is, right? I desire possibly to step away from convention, because again, this Hierophant is very staunch and is very concrete. It's not flexible at all. Now, and I don't say that to call you or anybody else out specifically, but there really is a lack of flexibility there. When you get to the Ace of Wands, all aces signal possibilities. What could be? What could we create? What could happen down the line? The Hierophant is just like, no, there's no expansion here. It is what it is. Oh God, I hate that phrase. It is what it is, right? Ace of Wands is like, it is whatever it could be. Let's find out. Yeah, it's exploratory. Hey, it's exploratory. Now, here's where we get into the what's going on deeper. The Hierophant, the Hermit. Major arcana for Virgo. Some of you could be dealing with a Virgo, but you don't have to be. So here's the reasoning why the Ace of Wands is showing up as a symptom, is showing up as the manifestation or the action point. The Hermit is involved. But again, I don't think many of you or whoever is doing this step away from this poaching, quote unquote, poaching of a job or changing of a job, changing of a career, changing of a relationship. I don't think that person who's doing the action is yet aware of this hermit energy that they're possibly even more motivated by. Now, that could be yes. I mean, I hate to like use this sort of like as like a backdrop or sort of like a crutch, but it keeps coming up in all the readings and it makes sense. You know, we are a collective of spirits. We are a collective of souls and consciousness, right? So we're all going to be feeling this in different waves and different intensities. But what has been coming up is sort of this, excuse me, this almost hard to process for some people, hard to process, hard to fathom, hard to understand or even come to grips with, but certainly some type of spiritual awakening, some type of spiritual alignment or realignment or reconsideration that has never, ever, ever come upon them before. Well, the Hermit isn't a counterpart to the Hierophant, is not equal in terms of like a partner, like, you know, they don't have the same goal, but they sort of have the same effect. Meaning, I get the sense that the Hierophant has this pull on a person's physical life. The Hierophant does, right? Their physical day-to-day life, their everyday life, their daily tasks, their daily obligations and responsibilities, right? The decorum of a society, the decorum of a family life, right? The expectations. Here we have the same pull, but it comes from an internal space. And it comes in and it says, listen, what do you expect or what are you obligated to from the inside as an individual, as one soul, one consciousness, one spirit, right? And the Hierophant gets you to think of those things or gets you to consider those things when, or by, gets you to reconsider those things by pushing you or guiding you, leading you down uncomfortable pathways. And that's sort of a convoluted way to say an awakening. An awakening, a spiritual awakening, is not comfortable for most people. It's not something you're immediately conscious of. You're immediately aware, oh, I'm having a spiritual awakening, or I'm having this epiphany about myself. I'm having this personal revelation. No, what it shows up like on the surface is, you cheated on me. You destroyed our family. Why are you doing this to me? Or, like I said, some people are sitting on this information to avoid a blowout. Or, you know, you can feel the tension in the air. You know, you're home for 15 days in a row and husband found out that you were having an affair behind his back. And so now when you eat dinner together at the table with your kids, you can just feel that tension in the air. All of that cycles way, way down, or funnels rather way, way down to the inside of the person, or both of you, or one of you that's having the spiritual awakening. You are going through this difficult moment of losing your marriage, of thinking about losing your job or quitting your job or walking away from whatever you're doing, right? Because of some a spiritual enlightenment that says you were not, like I said before, but there's a hole that needs to be filled in your life, in your soul, in your being that has not been filled before. You thought it was because of this outside influence, what was going on the outside. You know, and I'm not making excuses and I'm not trying to make it okay for those who have this extramarital thing going on, or you're dealing with that, or you're dealing with the loss of a job. I'm not trying to make it easy, but this is the allegory. This is what I see. I see a mirrored effect. The outside became dissatisfying because the inside was so dissatisfied before. It takes a little while, maybe years or months, for what is bothering you on the inside to sort of snake its way up to the surface and reveal to you, oh, I'm not really marriage material. And that's, you know, again, I get that sense that someone is just like, what is expected of me, what is traditional is not exactly in line with what I want for my life or what I want with this person. I don't know. And it manifests in a very sexual way, even though deep down it's like, no, spiritually I was not satisfied in that relationship. The expectations of my family, right? To work a certain way or believe. This could be about faith. This could be about traditional religious practices or services or teachings and rhetoric, right? And this could be less or non-denominational, right? This could be Catholicism. This could be Taoism. Those are very far apart from each other in theological understandings, in my opinion. They're not, opposite, and they're not so disparate that there's no common ground. But the expectations of a Catholic is way different than the expectations that are placed on someone who follows the path of Taoism or Buddhism or any other Eastern religion or non-religion at all. So it's complicated, and someone has yet to connect the dots that what is going on the surface is speaking to a deeper upheaval, a deeper churning or what is this? Restructuring. Thank you. Very interesting, Taurus. Your outcome. 5 of Swords in reverse. Please focus. Thank you. So 5 of Swords in reverse. So the fight is over. All right. I'll show you this card upright so you can get better used to it. Get better used to it. Oh, come on and focus again. Do it. Do it. No. That's what he looks like upright. And that's what he looks like in the reverse. There we go. So the fight is over. You're not interested, or someone's not interested in disagreements and arguing anymore. Someone's over trying to make a point, trying to get someone to see it their way, or being stubborn and making a point even though maybe another person has checked out of the conversation, right? Because when we have the 5 of Swords in the upright, what you usually see, or what you can see even in the reverse, is someone standing and they're holding all the swords, all of the victory, all of the quote-unquote correctness in the situation, or all of the righteousness in the situation, at the expense of everybody who's on the ground behind him. It's a hollow victory. It's a shallow victory. It's winning the argument for the sake of winning, not because you actually wanted anyone to be sympathetic or totally understand your side of the issue, right? This in the reverse is telling me nobody's giving into that. I think as best as you can, you and someone else, you and the other side, you and the other party will come to an amicable agreement on your disagreement. Okay? You will both come to the conclusion that we are in disagreement. This is absolute. I don't believe what you're saying. You don't believe what I'm saying. You don't understand my point. I don't understand your point. We are not seeing eye to eye, and there's no point in trying to argue with each other. There's no point in trying to convince the other side, because again, Hermit, Hierophant, both very much anchored. Thank you. Anchored in what are your beliefs? What are your convictions? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you want the things that you want? Why do you value what you value? And how do you show that to the world? Or how do you live that way? How do you express that? Or how do you show respect, homage, and obedience in the case of the Hierophant to that? Now, someone is saying, well, the vows and my religious beliefs and all of this makes me believe that this marriage is what I want. Someone else says, well, my spiritual beliefs, what's going on with me from the inside, says no. As much as I love you, or at one time loved you, and I love our kids, or whatever it is, and I love the house that we built together and the life that we built together, for some reason it's no longer what I want. It's no longer what I desire, whether there's another person there waiting in the wings or not. And that doesn't jive. You can't make these two sides come and see eye to eye, so what do? We go away. Well, you could engage, but being that it came in the reverse, I feel for the most part, you and the other side, or at least one party, is like, I'm not going to engage in that. I'm not going to engage in trying to convince you to see it my way, because you won't. It's recognizing that a discussion, an argument, a conversation is moot. It's pointless. It won't go anywhere, so I won't give into it. Smart move, I'd say. Overall energy, hey now, is the Ace of Cups. So, I mean, two aces, but this one in the, again, possibilities and opportunities, but this time regarding cups, emotional, the emotional landscape, the emotional body. I think this is about someone's personal happiness. And more to the point, Taurus, again, because some of you are on one side or the other. Like, this is kind of like right down the middle in terms of what I'm feeling energetically for the collective of Tauruses. Some of you have been cheated on. Some of you are the cheaters. Some of you are caught in the middle. Maybe you're witnessing your friends go through this, or your parents or someone else significant to you go through this. But regardless, for all involved, this is about connecting to some sense of emotional authenticity and emotional fulfillment and emotional, I don't want to say stabilization, because I don't necessarily feel that much was disturbed here. Disturbed, thank you, that's the word. There was some emotional disturbance. Here we have the chance or the possibility or the seeking with the eye shining down on the cup, the seeking, literally looking for emotional peace, literally looking and trying to find where you can feel like you belong, or like you will be made whole. And I would throw caution very quickly before we wrap up here. I'm going to throw caution on that aspect or that concept of feeling whole. And some of you might be thinking you will find your wholeness in another person. Be careful. That's a part of conditioning that most of us, most people on this earth will have to break away from. No one in this earth, no other person, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your children, your spouse, your best friend, no other person is meant to make you whole. You make yourself whole. That might signal back to this hermit showing up, because the hermit asks you to go on this spiritual journey alone. The Hierophant looks out to the masses and asks them to be a whole, a congregation, right? Like in a church, employees in a company, citizens in a country, right? Or in a city, right? We all are one. No. In terms of emotional happiness, again, and contentment with that Ace of Cups and the possibility, seeking it with that eye, seeking that emotional peace and that emotional contentment, that emotional fulfillment, that's a solo journey. You make yourself whole, not other people. But you don't have to believe that. That's just my personal takeaway. Taurus, that is your reading for April. If you liked it, the like button is down below. It's a little thumb. It looks somewhat like that. Go ahead and hit it for me. You can leave a comment. Let me know how this resonated in your life. You guys know I love comments. You can share the video. Let other people know that you like my stuff. That'd be cool. We're all at home now. We've all got lots of time to watch a lot of stuff. So if you want to share, let other people know. That'd be great. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, my friends, go ahead and subscribe. Again, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's EmpathicFire Tarot over there. Again, for the daily oracle cards. Taurus, I will be back soon to do your mid-April, and then I'll see you for your May reading. I'll see you for your birthday reading at the tail end of May. I'm going to do that on the first day, which is what, April 21st? Isn't that the first day of Taurus? 21st, 22nd, maybe 20th? One of those days. You'll see it upload from me for your birthday season. And then later in May, you'll see me for your birthday live session. I haven't decided the date, but as I get closer, I'll announce it here on the channel, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Take care.